Hi guys, welcome to the 7th episode of Score Couch, a podcast where we discuss technology, software, backend, frontend, design, various topics. Today, together with Paweł, one of the other co-founders, we will discuss various topics around Fintech. Hi Paweł.
Hey Olaf. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. I think it's their first time in the new setup, right?
Yeah, in this location. Yeah.
But how do you like the couch?
You know, couch is awesome, but this armchair looks better, to be honest.
Yeah, you can put yourself in, chill.
Yeah, and the color.
Yeah, but that's on purpose. Yeah, because I'm supposed to feel comfortable, and someone who's sitting next to me should not. Just joking. So we are meeting again, and today we're supposed to talk a bit about business challenges, problems, or the problem is not a good word, right? So challenges in fintech, right?
Yeah, like corporate style. You shouldn't use it.
So fintech is a very broad topic. We've done multiple projects so far for fintech, with fintech, related to fintech. I can assume that there are many different topics and challenges that one might face. What do you think is like a grand category or couple of categories of such challenges that we can discuss?
So you're right that we had a lot of customers fintech related so far. It was maybe a coincidence, maybe not, because when you are starting doing something, you somehow bring up like something similar. So fintech platforms are specific in a way because of the type of challenges you face. Because it's a fintech, you are dealing with money, and everybody wants this to just work, right? You don't want to have problems with your banking app. I think the most important thing for fintech is that the data are there and they are correct. So the data consistency, I think this is the number one priority for all of the users, right? Because if your app didn't calculate the tax proper way and you send this to government, it's not good, right?
Government won't like it.
Definitely no bueno. So this is the first thing. Another thing is the security, because the data are there, they are correct, but someone has an access to it, right? Unrestricted. And so you have to think about the way how you keep the data and who has an access to it and the rules, right? So for example, you shouldn't be able to change the ID of the user on a client side and have an access to the history transactions of someone else. So for example, you will change something in the request to Paweł Ferens, and you will see my spendings because you will be terrified.
It's that is this a valid, like this can happen? Someone can, during the development process, someone can overlook such a I would say huge thing.
It sounds bizarre, right? I've seen it in 2020. Seriously, it sounds like this should never happen, but it happens because pretty often the team behind the app doesn't have an experience with, for example, on a DevOps side, to restrict access from certain places to different databases, or because everything is talking to everything. And also on client side, because this should be restricted on a couple of different levels, not only on the client side, but also on the backend and on the infrastructure level. And pretty often it's not the case. So those are like the main challenges. Of course, you have different like how to show this data, because if you have a lot of financial data, it's sometimes it's a years of gathering the data from many people. So you have to think about big data, how to solve it. How can I query the data and show the proper reports? For example, an annual report. If your company has 2,000 employees, if your database schema is not the proper one, you can have like really serious problems.
Okay.
Yeah. Another thing, fintech related, is that in fintech, the rules about the money changes pretty often. So the new tax comes, the new way of shipping tax in a certain country. So you have to be constantly up to date and improve your app and introduce new features and change it to be up to date. Because if you have an integration with different parties in your app and those parties modify on their end something, you have to adjust your stuff because you will not be able to talk to them.
Okay, so it seems to me that the fintech is more of the maintenance part is way more important within fintech than in any other industry. Would you agree with that?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I would say that the fintech is in a bucket of fintech apps are in a bucket where you have to really think about the maintenance, because I don't think that the medical apps are less important.
Okay, that's a fair point.
Right? Because if you have an app for a doctor and it shows the heart rate of a patient or wherever, this also should be like pretty,
secure, restricted.
Yes.
Yeah.
And or any law applications where you have really fragile data about someone, about the cases, right? Same stuff. I think so. But there is a bucket of apps that nothing really bad happen if something didn't work. Like, I don't know, sharing music with your friends or sharing a voice when you are on a motorcycle trip. Okay, it didn't work, but you can reset it and here we go again, right? But if something will sync incorrectly, you have a problem, right? So yeah, but you have to be extremely careful when dealing with fintech, because at the end of the day, your customer can lose a lot of money, and if you don't have proper insurance.
Yeah, the money is one thing, but also I think what's really important within not only fintech, but again, probably even more important than with other industries, is the security of user data, right?
Mm.
The details. You don't have to lose your last bank transfer, but you can lose your identity, and the personal details can go public, right?
This is correct. Plus, those are the extreme cases, but not so long time ago, my friend lost some money because he was doing transfer in Galeria Krakowska on the open Wi-Fi, and the traffic was monitored, and someone took his card data and make a purchase using it. So the same stuff can happen if you are keeping, for example, card details in your app instead of using some third-party security provider, and someone has an access to it.
Sure.
This is extreme case, but I can imagine that someone did it.
Yeah, I would say that doing a bank transfer on open Wi-Fi is not really a great idea.
This is yes, another topic.
But yeah, that's the topic of education. I remember being in a hotel. I don't think I won't mention the name of the hotel. It was the big chain of hotels, let's say, a couple of years ago on a business conference, and they've only had open Wi-Fi networks there on a business conference. Yeah. I think it was IT. So
awesome.
So that was something huge. But that's not the topic. Open Wi-Fi. Okay, so the security of data. I would like to cover this data part a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
How about migrating stuff? Migration is, I think, one of the most interesting parts that developers love to do.
Yeah, so every developer who was touching any kind of migration have chills right now listening to us, like a small one.
That sounds exciting.
Sure. This is basically when you are doing a really big change in your platform and the previous model is not supported at all, or you are migrating from old system to totally new world. So, for example, those are the cases. Challenges, many. So first, you have to really.
Yeah, that was funny. Challenges, many. That kind of shows what kind of topic we are touching upon.
Yes, because this is to be or not to be
sure.
for the business. Because this is to be or not to be if you don't have a way to go back or a backup. But I assume that everybody does it at the first place. Yeah. So from the business perspective, you have to know what was on the previous version, what kind of features did you have there, and you have to make sure that the new app is supporting all of that, or if it's not supporting, how it's dealing with the data. Yeah. You have to. The big part of the work is to compare the two database schema, because in the old system, let's say you had an invoice, and the invoice was connected with something, some different objects, I don't know, refund and credit note. And that was a really simple schema. And let's say that in the new application, you have much more features, like in those Polish accounting apps where you have integration with bank and everything. So let's say that the invoice is connected with 12 different objects right now.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to take the invoice from old platform and put this into the new one and trigger creating all of those connected objects to have a proper data set in a new platform. So this mapping is not a trivial part, and you have to check after migrating all of those users. This is another part, how to handle migration of 100,000 customers if they will receive all of them an update of the app. Of course, you can do stage releases, for example, in Apple Store and Google, but still, a lot of people will receive it. Yeah. So, in terms of the migration itself, efficiency, you have to think about it. But after the migration, you have to check the data. So your balance before was minus 100. You have created a lot of different objects in the new world, and it should still be minus 100. So the testing is extremely important here. So for each user, you have to check the number of objects, the balances on each account, because in fintech, it's pretty often that you are dealing with multi-currencies topic. Not only your base currency, which is Polish zloty, but from time to time, probably you have a situation that you are issuing someone in euro, dollar, wherever.
Yeah. Every month I'm issuing at least a couple of them.
Yeah. So how accounting app is dealing with it, you are taking the exchange rate for Polish to euro from the day before, yeah, and under the hood you have separate like a fake account in euro. So your main is in Polish zloty, but you also have an account in euro, and we are connecting this transaction with euro account. So we can keep track of your euro transaction as originally they were. Plus, we are translating this euro transaction to the Polish zloty, your base account, because at the end of the day, you are paying tax in this currency. So you are dealing with Polish zloty. But you want also to keep track of different currencies as they originally were. So this is something users do not see.
That's very interesting. How about the exchange rate in that case? Mm-hmm. Because you have like a Polish national bank that can have the exchange rate XYZ, right? You have a customer using third-party software that has a different exchange rate. How do you handle that usually?
Mm-hmm. So usually what is important is the country of the end user and where he's paying the taxes. Because for example, in Poland, if you are making an app for Polish market, you have to it has to be Polish bank, right? Exchange rates. So you have to integrate the third-party API who is taking exchange rates from this party, right? You can use different provider, but you have to make sure that the exchange rates are are pretty the same. I'm not like a 100% expert in this topic, but we were cooperating with a couple of different accountants, and you can have problems if you are using different exchange rates which are significantly different, because you may avoid paying taxes, right? If you are lowering the exchange rates or wherever. So basically, you have to think about where your user base is and use the third-party integration for the country, or to make sure that because some providers have option to provide exchange rates for globally. So this is also possible. I don't know how much they differ, because sometimes they differ. I don't know this. But yeah, end user. Yeah, and his tax is the most important part if we are talking about accounting apps.
And the balance has to be correct at every time that you are entering the application, logging into it, and so on.
Should be. However, let's say that you are making an app which works in offline mode. This is another topic. And another challenge, because on mobile, well, you don't have a past transactions for 10 years downloaded, because it's a lot of data, it's huge, right? And you don't need it probably. So you have to think about, okay, so what kind of data do I need on mobile? Probably last accounting year. Or
less, or even last month or something.
Yeah, or if it's application, different kind, like splitting, for example, exchanges on a trip. So probably you need a past history of the trips which are not closed, because you want to know who owes you money, right? So you have to think from the business perspective, what kind of data probably I will need.
And how much.
And sync those data only, yeah? I think these accounting apps are the good example, because you have like tons of objects there, and if you have a certain period, accounting period I mean, which is not closed yet, you need all of the objects there, right? So your mechanism, sync mechanism should, if it didn't, because let's say in the middle of downloading the data from the server, you killed the app, and then you are opening the app and it shows you certain balance. So from the UX perspective, it shouldn't. It should show you the balance with the info that it's not correct data yet, because it's not everything is downloaded, or it should ask the backend directly for a balance and show you this balance, and under the hood download the data. And once it has all of the data switched to offline mode, there are many solutions of this topic, but you shouldn't show the data which are not correct with the proper info that, hey, this is not it yet. And yeah, this is from our experience, like what kind of, but it happens. So then user is, he's looking at the data which are not correct, and for example, if it's the app for buying shares in a companies, you may make a wrong decision. Yeah,
sure.
Easily.
That's I think that the accuracy of data and everything that can affect your decision-making process or can affect your business on a daily basis, this is extremely important to have it right.
So it's not only about making app work, but you have to think how it will work, how it will, if something goes wrong, how the user or we as the developers will know that something goes wrong, and how we can solve the situation. So what can potentially go wrong, and how fast we can fix it. So this is something you think about.
I remember that you've mentioned the quality assurance process, and that the QA plays an important role in fintech. And I remember one of the Polish banks sent a notification, I think last year.
I think there is no single person
containing a series of letters. That was just a test,
Everybody in Poland heard about it, I think.
Yes. And a lot of people have received it, even in our office. I don't have a bank account there.
Yeah. So this is a good example. It's extremely easy to do it because it's just sending to the different APNS server a message, and bam, you have it. However, if you have a good QA strategy and the processes, this should be blocked. So how this, I don't know the tech details about this bank. I've never worked there, but how for example we are doing this, we have a couple of different environments. So you have dev, you have QA staging and production, and if so when you are switching, for example, to QA, we automatically connect to our QA servers, but also we are switching the notification, so we are not sending notification to production, and also switching all of the third-party providers to the test accounts automatically. Probably they also have it because it's a bank. Something didn't work there, but I don't have details. But yeah, if you don't have this in your QA strategy, so guys, make sure to which servers we are talking to. You can have something like this, or writing test data to production database. It's fairly easy to do. Sometimes it's just switching URL.
Is there a way to, in a smart way, block that from happening? For example, by using, I don't know, additional authentication method for pushing something to a production server instead of the development side of things, or this is just one letter changed in the URL, boom, okay, sorry, didn't mean to do that.
You shouldn't deal with the URLs on a daily basis. You should have this configured somewhere in your CI/CD pipelines, so it should automatically switch. For example, we are pushing, let's say, QA branch, let's say, with the code to Git, where you are keeping the code base, and this should automatically switch all of the URLs for all of the integrations in the backend, and it should build the app, and this application is talking with not production environment. So this is how I've seen it in a companies. So the developer doesn't do this manual, because it's always, this is the place where something can go wrong, yeah? So the process should be configured and should be checked a couple of times, and you should use it, yeah? You shouldn't, in a code, change dev to prod or to QA, because it's really easy, because you have const, you have variables, and let's say you have a variable environment staging, environment prod, environment QA. You shouldn't put manually like a QA, because it's really easy to put prod there and wherever.
Yeah, you can just be distracted or doing something else, and so
Of course, you can work like this, but if you want your work to be even more interesting, you can do this, right?
Definitely more interesting. When you push to a couple of hundreds of thousands of people, I think, not a couple of, but hundreds of thousands of people, notification that shouldn't be there.
But everybody makes mistakes.
Sure.
Some of them are more prominent, some less. Like it happens.
Probably with a lot of those mistakes, like end user is not even aware of that, right?
It's extremely hard to think about all of this stuff, but what experience gives you, it gives you a set of things you think automatically when dealing with a certain topic. So you see more from the day zero than the person who didn't touch this before. And if you have an unexperienced team, they are learning on a daily basis, which is awesome. But if you are dealing with a topic like a fintech, maybe you don't want your team to learn on your product. Maybe you want a person, at least one, a tech leader in a team who did this, and he knows how to do it. Because not everybody in a team has to have an experience in this, but you have to have a process who keeps the quality, and you have to have a person who knows what part of the process should be in place. So you have to have a code review. The developers shouldn't allow doing certain stuff in a code, and so on and so on. So I would say at least one person, if you have a team of 8, at least one person should know what you are doing.
Okay, so the experiments on the living organism are not desirable.
You know, it's like a surgery on an open heart. You know, you can do it, but maybe it's maybe a person who never did this shouldn't do it. Maybe they should first do this on a mannequin, like a simulation.
Sure. Okay, so we've covered part of the data. How about user experience in general?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's also pretty important. I remember myself, using. I think I still have it. Like, I think they've changed that, but just a little bit. I just don't remember from the top of my head, but I remember that back in the day when I was using Revolut app and I was trying to send money to someone, it was a pain in the ass. So I was reaching for my phone, clicking for it, and was like, okay, how do you actually okay? And I remember that there was something bizarre in there, that did not make it very easy for me as an end user. And I spoke with a couple of people about it, and they told me that they have the same thing. Mm-hmm. So it was not like you go, boom boom, and then send. And I think they've changed that because. I've used Revolut like this weekend, when I was on my vacation, and I just clicked like, okay, boom, send, and it was already there. So they probably had that feedback, so implemented the change.
So fintech is not so different like any other industries. User experience, this is something which is always applicable, right? Because you may create an awesome feature, like a really sophisticated, and the data sync flawlessly. Everything is shiny, brighty, but at the end of the day, user see what he see, right? And if he doesn't know what the certain things do, he's not gonna use it, or he's going to use it in correct way. Yeah. So you should think about what certain app or certain screen should do. What is the main purpose? Why we are building it? Because if you put everything in one place, so it's really hard to do the thing you wanna do. Yeah, I'm always talking about the example of Shazam application for detecting the music, because there it's awesome. What the application does, it listens and it shows you what the song is, and they have one really big button which you hit, and you know that you will have what you want. Awesome user experience. Yeah, one button. Yeah,
I'm using Shazam. So
yeah, so this should be so easy, but the reality is not like this. So you should think about the flows for the user. So you have a user personas. You have a persona who is a business owner who is using the application. You have an accountant who is dealing with the taxes and at the end of the day, and let's say you have a user who only sends invoices and he doesn't care. Yeah. So let's say you have 3 user personas. This is from the user experience perspective, and for each of them you should think, okay, what are the flows in the application which are the most crucial for me? Yeah. And sometimes application asks what kind of user are you, and they are modifying the UI according to your needs. They are taking certain features from the board and putting them in settings or different tab, because for you as an accountant, for example, I don't know, charts, like the results are the most important one. You are not actually making invoices.
That's a perfect example. Not longer than yesterday, I was creating a new user in ING bank account, ING business, and the first thing that pops when you log in as a new user is like, what type of user are you? Are you a decision maker, or are you an operational manager or something like that? So either you are checking the balances, issuing the invoices, or you want to visit the dashboard and see what kind of what kind of statistics you have for the last week, month, and so on. So that's a perfect example. At first login, you are choosing your dashboard. Of course, you can change that later on, but it already gives you this personalized experience for you.
So sometimes companies do this only for the statistics, so they want to know who the users are.
Yeah.
But but clearly from your example, so they are adjusting the dashboard. So this is cool, right? So when you are not thinking about it, you have an app, you put a lot of effort in this, but if you have any kind of analytic tools, which you should have in your app, because then you can detect that, okay, we had a flow of, generating a report. And this flow is made out from 5 steps. And if you have a proper analytics, you can see that user on a step number 3, the session finishes. So the user do not finish the action. So then you know that something's wrong there from the UX perspective, or maybe from tech perspective, because if the user don't do it, and a lot of users doesn't, so there is a reason. So you have a data and you can act based on this, right? If you don't have it, you don't even know that they are not doing it. Or maybe you are able to generate the report, but totally different way. For example, not the 5 steps, but the user will open certain object. From this object detail, go to somewhere, and then generating the report. So 12 steps, because the easy way was not so easy for them. So if you have a proper analytics, you can track it. If you don't, you will never know. Maybe some user will write a comment, maybe not.
Is there a set of tools that you can use to do that, or it really depends on a business case?
I don't think it's a matter of the tools, because from the business perspective, you have to always think about what do you want to know, right? So what is important for you, and how you do it. I don't think it's a rocket science. You have Google Analytics, like wherever. There are many tools. What you want to know is a certain actions chain made by user in a certain session. If you think about what do you want to know, you will create those tech flows pretty easily. But what is crucial, the person who is leading the project, product owner, tech leader, the customer himself, it really he should think about all of this stuff, right? Because I haven't seen in my career many developers thinking about it by themselves. It rather goes from the product. So if your product owner, you have to have a really good product owner, because he's the point of coordination in fintech between the specialists, let's say accountants, and what's going on the market. So what your competitors do, and how to translate it to the features, like at the end of the day. So yeah, good product owners are key. You can't just take feature and say do this feature like they did.
Because it may not correlate with your user persona at all, or your users might be a completely different set of users.
Exactly.
And they will not engage in the same way.
Of course, you can always do it, but maybe it's just not smart. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you've mentioned also earlier something about data analytics, presenting the data offline, and so on. That that makes me think about. Do you think that the stock market or the application that has something to do with the stock market can work in an offline mode?
Stock market. Yes.
Because that constantly changes, right? There is a constant update of how much a certain stock costs, who sold something, and so on. So that really depends on the business case, but
it depends from the business case. I said yes because I think that there is in each business case there is a part of the functionality which can work offline for a certain amount of time. Let's say that you are making a long-term investment, and those investments in a stock market are based on a historical data. Yeah, so it doesn't matter if on a stock market it's not so relevant that something changed yesterday or 2 days ago, but what is important in those kind of investments, it's a trend within a year, 5 years, how it looks like. Yeah. So if you are syncing data on a daily basis, and let's say that you haven't done it for a week, but you still have those past data, it's still relevant to show the results of the analysis based on those data up to a week ago, and in the background synchronize the new stuff. And once you have it, show to the user, hey, we have the newest data. I think that you should inform the user that we are making the analysis having a data up to certain date, but still it's a lot of good input for the user. So you can, if you have some data, you can immediately show it to the user and it's still a value. Yeah. So this is one example. I think there are many examples where offline data which are not fully downloaded are a value. But it depends, yeah. If you are talking about, for example, cryptocurrencies, it's a totally different topic because from day to day you can lose your house, yeah.
Yeah, or a couple of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or have additional one, right?
Yes.
It really depends on which way it goes.
In a Krakow city center.
Exactly.
True. So yeah, business drives all of that, yeah.
Okay.
So, like one thing I think which is pretty crucial. So, the thing which we've mentioned before, the good product owner and a good tech leader. If you have this pair and they can talk with each other, I think this.
You won a lottery.
You won a lottery.
Yeah, but that's true. That's true.
Yeah. I don't know if, so we touched this stock market topic. I'm thinking about the different ones in terms of data synchronization and because what is a pretty interesting topic also related to what you said is, okay, you are synchronizing the data, but the data also changes. Maybe not in stock market, because the close price for a certain company is a close price. Mm-hmm. So it will not change. I think
overnight.
Overnight.
The session ended.
Yeah. But for example, you have synced some data to your mobile, let's say invoices, and on some different, I don't know, phone you made a change, an edit, or you deleted it. And your accountant added a different invoice, and you locally created something. So what's pretty interesting topic is the merging changes in this kind of apps. Who's right, right? So the last person who sent a request to the backend is always right, or when you are merging the changes, web is always right, and you are treating mobile as an additional one. And also, this is not an obvious topic. And it's not only business driven, because business will tell you pretty often, yeah, I want the data to be right. But what does it mean? Yeah. But what is important here, I think that you should be consistent. If you made a certain decision about how you treat the data, you should do this in all of the places in a system. First, the user will know how it works, and a second, your tech team will know how this should work and how to review the code later. It can't be random how you treat the data. Yeah. So as you see, there is a bunch of stuff you have to think about when you are dealing with fintech. Yeah, it's not only creating a user stories and let's go.
Yeah, it's a lot of that. But you've mentioned also the pair of tech lead and product manager. What do you think is the best approach to even starting a cooperation between the customer or the product owner on customer end, right, and the tech team? What should happen? Let's say that the product already exists, that they are looking to have something rebuilt. They are looking for a team that will help them execute their backlog and so on. What should be the building blocks or the things that should happen at the very beginning to, kind of find the chemistry, find the proper flow and so on?
Integration weekend.
That's definitely the case, yeah. Or a week.
or a week. It depends from the size of the backlog.
Yes, that's true. There might be a lot of things that needs to be talked through.
Yeah. It's probably everybody will say that the more people we have here in place, the better. And so to have a product owner here probably will be the best. So when we are taking a project from a customer, probably it's the most value when we have a person. But
we have a person
who is driving the business.
Okay, so like this guy actually stays with us, for that guy or girl, for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, like what I meant is that because some companies really want to have their own product owner in behalf of the customer.
Sure.
But when you have a product and it's a pretty mature product and there was a product owner on the customer side, first thing, the customer will he doesn't want a company to drive the business. He's responsible for the business.
Sure.
Yeah. So he has a product owner, and the product owner has a lot of knowledge, which it's pretty hard to transfer this knowledge in a short amount of time to someone, because he may think about, okay, I have to say about A, B, C, D, but he will forget like many nuances about certain stuff, features, and so on. So having a great product documentation is one thing, but even having that, there will be some knowledge which will not be transferred. So having such a situation, I think what is important is revalidation of what was built so far, and the tech team should check, okay, so what is the list of the things you have? Where is the documentation for it? And the team I think they should validate, is it true? So is this really working as it's supposed to? Because what will happen if you start building a new feature on top of existing functionality and the feature is not working? The data are not correct. And after 2 months, it turns out that the data are not correct because a part from the previous word was not working correctly. It was not showing the proper data, but it was not checked properly. But well, you are now doing this platform, right? And you have a delay.
It's your responsibility.
It's your responsibility. So in this case, ours. So it's on us. And we didn't check it, right? And we should. So this is the first thing, I think. So to check the platform, to validate if it doesn't have tests, which is terrifying, but it happens. I think you need a regression test. So cover the basic business flows with a test automation to automate it. So once you introduce something, you know that you didn't break registration, for example.
Sure.
Yeah. So this product person should sit with your tech leader for a couple of weeks in a basement, and they should go one by one, all of the epics or wherever you have there. So the tech person should have the full understanding of what business wants to do. Without this, you will always have a mismatch in terms of expectations. So your tech leader should know business to a certain extent. I think this is unavoidable.
Okay. Do you think that there are any advices or last sentences that you might give as a recommendation to all the fintech owners, co-founders out there?
Like one piece of advice?
Yeah, one piece of advice.
Yeah. make money, right?
Get your product owner.
Yeah, it depends to whom we are talking to. If we are talking to a customer, make sure that the team you choose, they did it before. Ask, hey guys, really show me what you've built and tell me something about it. And from this, you can say that the guys know what they are talking about. So they will mention that you are not keeping, I don't know, money in a certain format in a database. They will mention the synchronization problems and so on and so on. If you hear something like this, you can assume that, okay, they did it, right? But if someone is telling you only that, yeah, we are going to make it and it will be good and like no details, and I think that the more problems they will describe, the better. So, and the ideal scenario is that you have some technical friend who can validate it if you are not technical, just to speak with the team, to
So someone from your network that will help you evaluate.
Someone you trust. I think this is the safest solution. Me, as let's say that I'm not a technical person, I will do it. I will ask a guy, hey, can you speak with them? Ask them certain questions and look how they react. I would do it. Because there are many companies on the market, like many product houses, software houses, and everybody are saying like, yeah, we have custom development team and we will do it. And how to choose a proper partner, right? On a website you can write wherever you want. It's a matter.
But on a call, you can verify it.
Yes, you can verify it. But probably you will need help, like a tech help to check who are those guys.
Awesome.
This is my piece of advice.
Thanks, Paweł. It was a pleasure to speak with you as always.
It was, yeah.
In this lovely new setting. And let's hope that we will have an opportunity to talk again soon.
Yeah, I hope that our listeners will find this talk like helpful in a way.
I think so. Thanks, Paweł.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. That was another episode of Score Couch. I really hope that you liked it. Let us know what do you think down in the comment section. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and let us know what would you like to see in the next episodes. Thanks for watching.